New digital media distribution. The question that a lot of new media companies are asking themselves today is, how do we control this new medium of distribution? The answer is, they don't. I've long suspected that the CD format was basically an attempt to further allow record companies and their distribution outlets control over their product and artists, etc. Compact disc, and now DVD, are just too familiar. Why can't we copy the source, much like the old cassette format, even though it is illegal? Because as much as it supposedly reduces the artists' and companies' profits, it allows for the format to be embraced. I don't think that record companies actually care if people are infringing copyright as long as they have control over the distribution format. The Rio PMP 300 player, a portable MP3 music player manufactured by Diamond Multimedia, was the first such device to grab the attention of consumers and industry members. The Recording Industry Association of America, or RIAA, sought a court injunction to block sales of the Rio. The RIAA lawsuit claims that the Rio player violates the Audio Home Recording Act of 1992, or the AHRA. Manufacturers are required by the AHRA to pay royalties as compensation for the legal duplication of music, which are paid to artists, composers, musicians, record companies, and publishers. In addition, the RIAA argued that the Rio does not incorporate a serial copyright management system, which prevents the legal manufacture or copying of second-generation copies. In June 1999, the United States Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against the RIAA, agreeing with Diamond that the Rio was not a recording device, but a playback device. In the ruling, Judge Dermond F. O'Scanlan stated, quote, "There is copying for personal use, legal, and for commercial use, illegal without express permission. It seems that audio on the web falls in between these two forms of copying by placing items in the public domain or in the community. Does this method circumvent the law or enhance the legal free expression of the Internet? We have yet to define the status of web music broadcasters. Instead of couching such companies and individuals in terms defined by offline media, there must be a realization of the unique qualities of the Internet and how it affects the copywriting, manufacturing, and distribution of music online." Close quote. Judge O'Scanlan's statement above makes it clear what problems the major players are up against with the advent of new media distribution in cyberspace. Secure Digital Music Initiative, or SDMI, has been implemented by the RIAA in December of 1998. The basic premise that this organization has been formed on is to protect established companies from losing their copyrights to the free market philosophy of music distribution on the Internet. Sunny de Fontenay, editor of Music Dish, explains further the paradox that major record companies face. Quote, "The label's power has always been in the control of the distribution of their music, with ownership of that music coming second in terms of importance. With the Internet, they no longer control this distribution. Instead, they are stuck with a legacy system, which becomes increasingly irrelevant to consumers desiring the flexibility of digital music. This we describe as the legacy paradox. They are afraid to give up this cash cow and adjust to the demands of consumers and the emerging online music industry. No longer is the distribution of music exclusively held in the hands of offline broadcasters, or radio and TV, and brick-and-mortar retail stores. Now smaller firms such as MP3.com, online retail giant Amazon.com, and others are entering the distribution arena and redefining it in the process. If the major labels no longer control distribution, then they are left as copyright owner, artist development, and promotional entities. For major labels, as with most major corporations, such drastic change in business model is usually accepted with great difficulty." Close quote. Another example of this is that you can send demo tapes or CDs into a record company until you're blue in the face with no feedback. But get out into the clubs and play that same music, and you'll find artist and repertoire, or A&R men, wanting to sign it up to control the source. If the music's out there, the record companies will homogenize, control, and then decide how to exploit it. As far as present distribution of media via the internet goes, we have had kids in colleges in America putting up websites and getting 100,000 users a day to visit. And what are they distributing? Music. How? Via MP3 files, a format invented by the Moving Pictures Expert Group, MPEG. These young people are taking their friends' traditional music CDs and using their computers, transferring the sound to a format that you can quickly and effectively distribute around the world. Once you have the file, say, on your computer, it is up to the individual what happens to it. You'd think there would be no harm in this basic reformat, a bit like collecting playing cards. You would think. But no. The head of Geffen Records recently thought it was that much of a threat to his company's business that he sent out hundreds of writs to these young people, and subsequently got their sites closed down. The amusing irony is that the youth reappear as big as ever, and with no censorship on their language, proceed to inform the record companies of their somewhat charged opinions.